Freedom itself was attacked this morning by a faceless coward.
I tell you what, it's a sad day for America. It really is.
This is like a nightmare. This is like a nightmare. This is like a nightmare. This is like a nightmare.
On the ground, witnesses could not believe their eyes.
It collapsed. The top floors collapsed down.
Chaos. It's just chaos out here, it really is.
This was the worst act of terrorism on U.S. soil.
Today, we've had a national tragedy in an apparent terrorist attack on our country.
It just blew up. A big explosion. People started running. It was just chaos everywhere.
We've seen firefighters cry. I talked to a police officer. She had tears in her eyes. I asked her if she was okay. She said no. She told me her sister works in one of those buildings. She, like so many people, have loved ones. They don't know where they are right now.
Before this day is over, there will be a lot of tears. We have no idea whatsoever how many people may have been killed at the World Trade Center.
There's people jumping out of windows. I've seen at least 14 people jumping out of windows.
A loud bang, the ceiling, everything shook, the ceiling started to fall in, and we just grabbed our stuff and ran out.
What was going through my mind is when I was out there was to make sure that we were all getting out of the building okay. Because all we would just, because we didn't know what to do. We panicked. We couldn't breathe because all the fumes, all the gasoline fumes was hurting us. And we got out.
We saw the first person jump from the building. And at that moment, it went from being just an awful, bizarre scene to realizing that the human lives were being taken.
A terrible, terrible tragedy has befallen my nation, but has befallen all the nations of this region, all the nations of the world, befallen all those who believe in democracy. Once again, we see terrorism.
It went from shock
Terrorism.
to horror.
Terrorism.
He was crying.
Terrorism.
He had lost all of his men
Terrorism.
when the building collapsed. He asked us to reach his wife, Marie, tell her that he was okay, that he had survived. Quote, tell her, I love you. 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 I love you.
They can destroy buildings, they can kill people, and we will be saddened by this tragedy, but they will never be allowed to kill the spirit of democracy.
Today, our nation saw evil, the very worst of human nature. And we responded with the best of America, with the daring of our rescue workers, with the caring for strangers and neighbors who came to give blood and help in any way they could. They could. None of us will ever forget this day. God bless America.